You're listening to a digital signage podcast brought to you by True, that's Trou Digital. In this series, we hope to deconstruct digital signage. We'll cover everything from developments in the technology to how different industries can be making the most of digital signage. You can find our episodes over on our website, TrouDigital.com. If you have any questions or just want to get in touch, don't hesitate to tweet us at TROU Digital.
Hi everyone and welcome to a special episode of the TrouDigital Signage podcast. Christmas is just around the corner and 2016 is coming to a close, so we thought we'd take this opportunity to reflect on recent digital signage trends and make some predictions on where we think the industry is heading in 2017. Who better to approach this subject with than Mario, director here at TrouDigital, and something of a digital signage expert.
Hi Lee, thanks very much. That was a bit too polite, but thank you anyway. I think this is a great time to sort of take a step back and reflect not only on our business, but the industry itself. Technology is moving so fast these days, it's important to recognise its momentum. And as you say, try to anticipate the developments of the future, although it's not proving too easy.
So to give a quick overview, digital signage has been around for a fair few years now. I mean, originally it was something that only the big corporations could afford, and it was fairly limited to your consumer-facing industries like retail. But that's all changed now, hasn't it? I mean, now you can find it, well, in pretty much any sector. I mean, especially schools and universities. And it's getting increasingly sophisticated too, which is what we want to speak about today. So, do you want to introduce the first of the four big recent trends that we've picked out?
Sure. So, I think the best place for me to start is gamification. It's been one of the biggest developments, not only in the technology world, but in marketing over the past decade or so. It was Nike Plus who really pioneered this trend back in 2006. They effectively transformed running into a game with a community of competing players, and gamification creates an immersive experience for consumers, encouraging engagement with a brand or product. Digital signage and gamification have been a perfect match. In retail, for example, screens are often used to deploy brand or product-related games. The use of in-game leaderboards has become particularly popular. The most effective retailers might offer daily prizes in the form of shop vouchers to their best performing players on a game on a touchscreen, for instance.
Are there any other sectors using gamification through digital signage?
Definitely, it's equally popular when it comes to education. Classroom games allow students to learn or be tested on material without feeling like it's school too much, like for example an exam. In many ways, the class test has been replaced by the interactive quiz.
Move on to the next big trend in digital signage. Near field communication, or NFC, is something I'm really beginning to appreciate in other applications. So what's happening with it in the signage world?
Okay, so near field communication, or NFC as it's more popularly known as, has been a milestone in interactive technology and one ideally suited to digital signage as a platform. Major cities like London are already familiar with a tap culture that includes Oyster cards and Apple Pay. With NFC integrated signage, consumers can tap digital displays with their smartphones to engage with content.
I can definitely see people interacting in this way more often, but who's already using it effectively and where can we expect big things?
Interestingly, the sector where NFC seems to be really come into its own is real estate. Without having to go inside an estate agent for a brochure, prospects can collect property information on their phone by tapping digital property listings in the window and saving them for later. NFC and digital signage is definitely a technology to watch as concepts like Apple Pay become more prominent and mainstream.
As a marketer, the next trend I picked out is something that I think is really quite exciting. I want to talk big data. Marketing today is driven by stats and graphs. Companies want to know where and exactly who it is that they're spending their marketing budgets on. Once anonymous visitors to a website are now tracked and characterized, with companies knowing the demographic and source of their visits through tools like Google Analytics. The problem with traditional forms of advertising like TV or radio is that marketers have a very limited understanding of their reach. It's not enough to know how many viewers tuned in to Coronation Street at a certain time. Broadcasters have no way of telling how many left to put the kettle on while the ad was playing, or how many viewers fast-forwarded it on demand altogether. So as a marketing channel that breaches the offline-online divide, digital signage seems uniquely positioned to cater for this drive towards big data. Do you want to talk me through the developments and its potential?
Sure. So, as you said, up until now, Retailers, for example, had no real means of collecting data for engagement with their billboards and posters. But developments in digital signage technology now mean that screens are able to track who's walking past and who's stopping to engage with content. Almost every mobile phone nowadays has Bluetooth on. Advanced digital signage screens are using this to collect data on passers-by. Some screens even have eye tracking and facial recognition capacity to go that level deeper. At the forefront of the technology, retail digital signage is able to identify the gender and age of its real-time audience and adapt its content accordingly.
I definitely think this kind of targeted marketing is really the future of display advertising. But there's one last trend I want to get your thoughts on. It's something we maybe don't talk about as much as we should in the industry, and that's the profit generating potential of digital signage.
I'm glad we're addressing this actually. What we're seeing now with a lot of our clients is that our screens are becoming profit centres rather than costing them money. One of the biggest reasons for this is the dramatic fall in hardware costs over the past few years. Everyone today knows you can pick up a TV far superior in quality at a fraction of the price of a screen a few years ago. Screens have always been the largest cost associated with digital signage. This is great news for the end user. Media players have similarly continued to get smaller while growing more powerful and affordable, so the costs are lower than ever, but profit generation comes with the advertising and sponsorship. Advertisers obviously trade in attention. Today people are glued to screens, so the premium on this space is rocketing. The more screens a user has at their network, the higher footfall their locations, the greater the value of the platform to potential sponsors.
So how does putting out sponsored content actually work?
Well, a dynamic digital signage solution allows users to intersperse internal and external forms of content. Say 30 seconds out of a 2-minute loop might be sold to advertisers. The benefit of owning a network of screens is having complete control over the extent and nature of your advertising. It needs to be stressed that working with sponsors does not have to mean selling out. A dentist, for instance, might want to only display sponsored content for hygiene products they generally recommend. If you own a chain of stores or practices, or just a large network of screens, sponsors will be biting your hand off to gain access to your audience.
Is digital signage advertising something already widely happening, or is it maybe an underexploited opportunity for screen owners?
We're beginning to see companies across sectors, even charities actually, which is great, investing in digital signage primarily to generate profit. Its internal communication functions have become a welcome side feature. While not common, it is not unusual for large companies to happily spend £2,500 a month on a 100-screen network, in the knowledge that they can sign up a dozen sponsors at £1,000 a month for each slot in their content playlist. We're constantly getting calls from existing clients who have signed up new sponsors. Adding their content is pretty straightforward for us, so we don't mind and we're happy for them to do it.
Well, we're running out of time in 2016, so we'll have to wrap up this tech review there. But to put you on the spot, Mario, which of the 4 trends is your one to watch?
It's a tough one for me, but it's big data. Screens are able to measure engagement, whether it's through Bluetooth, facial recognition, eye tracking, or some future breakthrough, will have unprecedented value to marketers. For me, the introduction of audience metrics will really cement digital signage's place as a high priority for both communicators and advertisers.
A great choice, I think. Well, thanks for joining me for this special episode. I look forward to hosting many more in the new year.
No worries, I'll be here.
A big thank you also to anyone, or I should say everyone, tuning in. We'd love to hear your thoughts on our trends to watch. Maybe you're in the industry yourself and you have different observations or predictions that you'd like to share. Feel free to tweet us at TrouDigital or drop us an email to info@TrouDigital.com. All that's left to say is a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the team at TrouDigital.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
You've been listening to a digital signage podcast brought to you by TrouDigital. Stay tuned for future episodes and we'll keep you updated on all things digital signage. In the meantime, if you would like some information on our solution, head over to our website, TrouDigital.com. That's TrouDigital.com.